Hello and welcome back to a very special edition of the Jacob and Jacob podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Pear. As always, joined by my co-host, Jacob Robam. And today we have a really special guest because we are joined by former NBA head coach with the Grizzlies and the Knicks and two-time NBA champion as the assistant coach of the Miami Heat, David Fizdale. Thanks for being with us today, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so we're addressing you as coach, but can you tell us how you got into the coaching profession?
Yeah, it always sounds weird to me when people call me coach still. So just, Fizz is always nice too. Don't feel
All right,
bad
all right.
calling
All
me
right.
Fizz. I don't look at us as, I don't like to play roles too much. But I ended up getting into it because I wasn't good enough to keep playing. And I knew I wanted to keep going with the sport. I love the game and I love the artistry of it. The competition of it. I love the celebration of life that you get into it. You learn the lessons you get from it, from the game of basketball, really help you throughout your life and moving forward. So I just knew I wanted to stay a part of it. And when my game couldn't do it for me no more, my brain did it for me. And I started very young. I got lucky because I still had a couple classes left at my senior year to finish up, and my university offered me an opportunity to be like a student assistant. And that year they allowed me a lot of leverage because I was the captain of the team the year before. So basically I was coaching my own guys, my buddies. And so I didn't see it that way. It was like I was still playing for the team almost. But that led me to meeting Eric Spoelstra in Miami and doing an internship for him and, really learning the league from the bottom up. And I thought that was probably the most invaluable experience of my career was, the video room because I literally learned scouting. I learned the teams. I learned the players. I learned all the statistics, systems based on coaches. I got to learn leadership on the highest levels because of, who I was around. I was around the likes of a young Eric Spoelstra and Stan Van Gundy and Bob McAdoo and Pat Riley, of course. And the players on that team was guys like Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway Sr., who I ended up coaching his son later, which is weird. But I got to learn a lot by being the grunt. And I always recommend to people, don't be afraid to be the grunt because it really can lead you to being the prepared for everything that comes your way.
So
And then from there, the rest of it was history. I kind of went back to college and, coached 5 years. And when I knew it was over in college, I just wasn't feeling it at the time anymore. I knew at that time it wasn't for me. I got lucky and got a call from Eric Musselman, who went to my university, same alma mater, University of San Diego. And he said to come up and interview at Golden State. And sure enough, on the spot, got hired. And that led me to Atlanta back to Miami, which, by the way, another great lesson you get is, really focus in on the job you have because you don't know later on what it could lead to, and 13 years, 12 years, I think, before I'm a video runt in the video room with this guy, Eric Spoelstra, and he gets the head coaching job at the Miami Heat 12 years later, and I'm his associate head coach. So, and then I get to be a part of something special and win titles and coach with guys like Ron Rothstein and Juwan Howard and obviously Spo. And, it was, coaching LeBron and Dwayne and, all of that stuff I got to experience that. And I think a big part of that was because I was so devout and committed to the group when I was just a kid. I was 23 and I was working my butt off. And, I really wasn't thinking about when I'm 36 or 35 or whatever, when I went back, I wasn't thinking about that when I was working. I was just busting my hump. And so, it led me to that. And obviously winning titles helps you get head coaching jobs. And so it all really worked out for me. And so I've been very lucky in the business and I've always tried to be very mindful of how lucky I am.
So, of course, you're in Miami during the time of the Big Three. Can you tell us how the Big Three assembled with LeBron, Ray Allen, and Dwayne Wade?
Ray Allen.
It's Bosh, buddy.
Oh my God, what was I saying? That's my fault. That's a terrible
Greatest.
mistake.
Oh, if I called Ray Allen right now, he'd be so happy to hear that.
Oh
He'd
my!
hop
I
on the
gotta tell
podcast
him.
tomorrow.
I'm gonna be honest. I
Hey,
was
look,
reading
I
the
even got him.
question
Just so
on
you
the,
know, he's on my wall. You see that jersey over there? I'm showing you the jersey mid-interview. Ray Allen is a good mistake to make. Hall of Fame. He's the only one of the three that's in the Hall of Fame already. And he's the only one of all four of them that's in the Hall of Fame already. So I'll give you that one.
I was reading the next question on my sheet here, and it involved Ray Allen, and it just went into my mind, and then it just came out.
I love it. That's all right. So ask your question again, sir.
So how did the big three in Miami assemble with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh?
Well, really, I think it was the love child of Dwayne Wade first. I didn't even think it was a possibility, to be honest with you. I didn't think Chris Bosh would leave Toronto because he was having such an incredible career up in Toronto. And then LeBron, who would have thought? Cleveland, home, it's just, you never would have thought it would have happened. But Dwayne saw something, and, during their time in the Olympics, I think these guys spent some time together talking about it. Like, what would it be like? And, we get a lot of ridicule and we'll do this, but man, we'll be pretty good and we'll have a chance to win titles. And so I think Dwayne saw it first. And when he thought it was even a opening to it, when he brought the rest of the Heat family in, it all kind of came together, because you put Dwayne and Andy Ellsberg and Pat Riley and Mickey Arison and Nick Arison and all these, you put them in a room with a guy, it's tough to say no to him, especially Pat. Yeah. Pat is very influential, especially when he shows you 9 rings. He's got rings on every finger and you want one. It's hard to say no to that. So I would say it started with Dwayne, and he threw the lob to Pat, and Pat finished it.
So you were on the bench, obviously, as the assistant coach during the Ray Allen 3. What was your reaction to that?
It goes to, it's funny how things work, because I'm in this mode right now that I'm really working hard personally on how to really be present and stay in the now and not let my mind drift to the future or the past. And what I'm finding is it's hard to stay in the moment, And so my point to that is Ray Allen has and still has probably the incredible ability to be in the moment, mm-hmm. and to be able to lock in and just be present for what was needed. Mm-hmm. Not only him, but it was the year-long preparation of Spo for that moment. Mm-hmm. We ran that play every shoot around for, however many shoot arounds we had that year, probably 50, 60 plus shoot arounds. We never used the play, mm-hmm. until the last 2 plays of that game. And, and so I remember the timeout vividly. Spo was just smashing the board in front of the guys because everybody thought it was over. It's not a guy in that huddle that didn't have that doubt that it was done. I could see it in their faces because I was just scanning the huddle. I was standing next to Spo off of his shoulder. And all I remember is, and that was even me, I was feeling it too. And Spo just slammed the board a few times and said, one play, pistol hammer, run it. And went through it. We ran it. We missed it, got it back. Bron made the 3, right? Mm-hmm. They come down, they miss free throws. We run the play again. Chris Bosh does his job in the moment. Shot was missed. He crashed the boards because everybody ran at Bron. He had a free run, got the rebound, and just to have that awareness, that Ray Allen is out there. We only got so much time, and I got to get it to him on the numbers. And the shot Ray shot, I've seen him shoot that shot in practice 1,000 times, thousands. To not look down at the line while you're backing up, to be able to stay inbounds and behind the 3-point line. That's something we work on a lot with a lot of young guys. Kevin Knox struggled because he wore a size 17 shoe. So the corner 3 was always a tough one for him. So we had to work on different footwork so they could stay behind the line. For Ray Allen to do that, backpedaling while the clock is running down and have the awareness of all of that in that moment, that's really a innate, scary ability to just focus in on the now. And it was, all I remember is Juwan Howard bumping me saying, that's going in, or something to that effect. And when it went, it was just chaos. And I can't say what Ray Allen was saying to the people that had brought out the gold ropes, but it was a lot of foul language about get those ropes out of here. You know, and to the Spurs' credit, I tell you, you know, and you can read this in, they talk about it in the book, gosh, what is it? You know, The Talent Code, the guy that writes the book called The Talent Code is by this guy, Daniel Coyle. In his last book, I think it was called The Culture Code, they talk about Greg Popovich's leadership in that moment and what he did with the team that night. Because you got to think, oh my God, we're about to win a title and it's taken from us. How do you motivate that group in that moment to come back for Game 7 and not be gutted, you know? And so it's a good book for you guys to read if you want to learn about some leadership stuff. You know, I won't ruin it for you, but obviously they came back and it went down to the end again. And LeBron, Tim Duncan missed a chippy over Shane, luckily, and LeBron hit a big shot over Kawhi to win it.
So let's go into your time as a head coach in New York of the Knicks. Obviously, a very tough sports market. How do you deal with the consistent pressure that was brought upon you?
You deal with it in different ways, and now that I'm out of it, I'm probably a lot better suited for it because you learn from, you know, your rights and your wrongs. But I think that the number one key is back to what we was talking about is you can't focus on what happened before you, and you can't be concentrating on what might happen if something goes, you know, whatever way. And so what I tried to always do was really talk about keep my team in the mode of, can we get it, you know, 1% better every day? You know, can we just get a little bit better every day and work on and point out, you know, parts of the game. Obviously, you want to win every game, but point out parts of the game that we can call victories, you know, and say, hey, we got better at this game. We got better at this. Statistically, we got better at this. We did this. And so, you know, when you're in the storm of a media storm and a lot of people are beating you down or around you or fans are on you, the number one thing you can do, I think, is rely on the people around you and don't try to carry the whole weight because it's impossible, especially in the NBA. You're just not gonna, it's too many guys, there's too many people that you have to interact with, there's too many people. And as a head coach, you're literally the nucleus of all communication, right? So I got the players here, I got trainers here, I got front office here. And so you media over here, like we talked about. And so you have all of that. And so you really have to rely on your coaching staff and delegate to them certain tasks. You have to empower your players to be leaders. And just know that, I wouldn't call it pressure, but just know that all of that stuff comes with the thing that you love doing. And, you know, if somebody told you, hey, you get to do what you love, but you got to take all of this other crap with it, would you do it? Yeah, because you love it. And so the New York experience, I think oftentimes we get caught in the moment of when something happens. And I think something, especially for you young guys, that'll really help you is don't make judgments on your situation in the moment, right? You don't know why that's being taken away from you and what space is being opened up, you know, and what that space is being opened up for. So my point is, God, it killed me to be fired by the New York Knicks on the biggest stage in the world. It's embarrassing. We didn't win a lot of games, all of this stuff, right? But because I'm not working, I have time for my newborn son that I would have never had time for ever, right? So you judge it too soon and it's bad, but it's a beautiful thing I get to do every single day. I wouldn't be able to do. So my point, my lesson to you, learn from me, don't judge tough stuff in the moment. You're going to go through tough stuff. It's just part of the deal. Yeah. And prepare your mind for that. You're going to have some bumps in the road. In all its glory, you're going to fail, and that's okay. but don't judge that failure as if it's the end all, because that failure may be leading to something beautiful for you or something great for you. So that's my words of wisdom from my New York experience.
So now that you're out in New York, if the opportunity ever presented itself to coach in the NBA again, would you go back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a crazy man. I don't know what else I would do. Other than being, my roles at home, I don't know anything else that fuels me as much. I don't look at it as work. I look at it as sport, as a game. And it is, I get it, it's a bottom line and a means to an end, to finances and a lot of money. But if the day I start looking at it as if it's work, is the day I should not go back. And right now, I don't see it as that. I see it as being able to learn from and teach young men, be around leaders, collaborate with a group of people to try to accomplish something that we say is bigger than ourselves. That's fun. That's I think that's great. And that's why I say don't let a moment of defeat take away something that, is just is if that's all it takes to get you out of the game, then you didn't love it in the first place, and that's okay. You may want to move on to something else, but if that opportunity presents itself, yeah, I would love to do that. It would be great.
So in the meantime, before you return back to the NBA, you've been appearing on ESPN's The Jump and also just other ESPN programming. How has that experience been, sort of transitioning from coaching to the sort of sports broadcasting industry?
It's great because I try to approach it as if, as though I'm a student again, right? So I'm the player again. I don't know TV like TV people do. Like, you put Stephen A. Smith on TV and you're talking about an expert television personality analyst. This guy knows, he is sharp, man. I'm telling you, him and Max Kellerman and all of these people I work with at ESPN are unbelievable. Molly and Jalen, they're so good. And so I'm looking at it as, okay, teach me, and I never thought that stuff I was actually getting my major in college was going to play out to be something that I actually use. I was a communications major with a mass media emphasis. And now all of a sudden, this thing I was just jacking around with in college, just trying to make my way through getting B's and C pluses, is now actually playing out to help me. And so, but I really approach it as an opportunity to learn. I go in humbled. I go in egoless about it, and I try to get as much feedback from people as I can. It's not as easy as it looks. It's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes, and just understanding these dialogues, and at the same time, because my face is being shown to everybody on the planet, I also have to stay in that mode of check my ego that I ain't that big a deal. I'm still, because that happens to people. I think sometimes is that they attach themselves to this identity, and when that identity goes through roller coasters, they go with it. And so personally, I like to stay even, so I don't attach myself to too many of these. I don't take them too seriously from that standpoint, where I let them bring my world crashing down. So, I go into it humble. It's fun to do. It does not fuel my competitive side at all. I miss the competition, and I think that's the thing that always brings you back, is the competition and the camaraderie that the basketball life gives you.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And another thing from your coaching career was that infamous "Take That for Data" press conference.
I can't get away from it.
When you saw that fine come in and the players offered to pay it, what was your reaction to that?
Well, it obviously meant a lot that they would step up for me and, take the hit for me. At the time I was fighting for them as well. Like, I just didn't feel at the time that it was, they were getting their just due. It's funny now to see Donovan Mitchell sticking up for his team in Utah with Mike Conley next to him, who does not get technical fouls. And so I don't know if that has an effect on officials, that they think, well, I don't have to, call the game a certain way for him because he's not going to say as much.
Yeah.
But there's 2 places now that people have had to do that because, you know, he's a guy that's just going to play. And that's great and that's fine. And I had no problem doing it because we needed something like that because we were down 2-0 to the number 2 team in the league. The Spurs had the second best record in the league at the time. And here I am, a rookie, coaching against the great Greg Popovich. And I'm like, all right, I got to stick up for him. I got to figure out a way to light a fire. You know, I want to make sure I do it in a way that it sticks, and that it has meat, but I don't go too far where I say, I don't want to curse. I didn't want to curse. So I was just like, all right, go. And it was I had like 4 minutes after my post game talk with the team. And then I went up there and I just started circling stuff on the stat sheet. And I just recognized, I saw these numbers. I saw this thing play out and I have a fit. Now take that for data. I had never said that in my life up to that point. And I never said, I have said, we used to joke in the neighborhood using the word rook, and you even call rookies rook. So I have used that, but I never said they're not going to rook us before. So that whole rant was just something that I don't know, popped in my head, and I was a desperate man trying to win a game.
I think you should get that trademarked and put that on T-shirts and sweatshirts all over.
They did. They were selling them at the game. T-shirts all over Memphis.
We'll have to get some.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Dave, thanks so much again. Before we let you go, we have one last question for you. So we're at about the midpoint of the NBA season right now. All-Star break just finished up. And very likely one of those All-Stars that was playing on Sunday night, or maybe one in Joel Embiid who was supposed to play but didn't play, might be the MVP this season. Who's your pick for MVP, and what's your finals prediction?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's a tough question. The MVP right now.
It's neck and neck.
I mean, Joel Embiid is having an incredible season. I just always marvel at LeBron because, I mean, when is he going to slow down at all, right? His numbers are still through the roof. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see this last stretch post All-Star. But right now, I'm in the same boat. I think I might be biased. I probably am biased towards LeBron. But I love to see that Joel Embiid is making that next jump to become who he can be. So yeah, that's where it's at. Was that the whole question, or did I miss
Also,
it?
finals prediction for this season.
Oh, finals prediction. I'm gonna go with the Lakers out of the West. Until somebody beats them, I don't know. And out of the East, I am going, just because I want to see it, Brooklyn. If they're healthy. Which is a big if.
That'd be an unbelievable series.
It'd be unbelievable. They would score. It'd be the highest scoring series in finals history, probably.
Yeah, it would be like 150 to 140.
Oh, you're crazy. It'd be crazy. And the amount of the star talent on the floor is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about these stars. There's some superstars on that court. So I would love to see it, but I think it's not going to be a cakewalk for anybody. The Lakers got their hands full out west now because the Clippers are clicking. Utah's clicking. Denver's going to be right back in that mix again. Portland, if they can get healthy by the end of the year, it's not going to be a cakewalk. And, injuries will play every bit of a factor, both sides, East and West, I think, for who's going to win it.
Yeah,
quick turnaround season. It'd be interesting to see how people's bodies hold up during a finals run. It's a war of attrition. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. I got to say, if the Clippers can get a legit point guard to put on that team with PG and Kawhi, they're for real.
Well, I think I wouldn't overdo it at the point guard because I think the biggest key with their point guards is, one, do they make open shots, and two, do they guard the position? And both of them do that for the most part, Reggie Jackson and Beverly. The reason why I say that is because the other two guys handle the ball so much,
Mhm.
right? And when you get into the playoffs and you start digging deeper into the finals, they're going to have the ball all the time. So it's not as important as people make it out to be. I think it's going to come down to matchups in a lot of ways, because I think the Clippers right now, their biggest issue will be, can they deal with Anthony Davis?
Mhm.
That's the matchup that they got to be able to deal with, is can they guard him? Because he's different than anything else. He's a matchup nightmare. They got a lot of guys that can throw at LeBron. Maybe they all can't stop him, but Kawhi is a good matchup for LeBron. Marcus Morris Sr. is a good matchup for LeBron. PG is a good matchup for LeBron. So they got multiple guys that can throw there. But, you know, if Serge Ibaka has to guard AD and AD gets Serge in foul trouble,
Ooh.
that's quick, right? The series is quickly changing. And so that's where I think that I worry for the Clippers, is if they run into the Lakers, that's going to be the tough. And then the same thing out east is you got the small matchup of Brooklyn against the monster Joel Embiid, and the speed beat size, and that's going to be interesting to see as well. So we'll see. But again, the East got those sneaky teams like Miami and Toronto. So don't, watch out for those. It's no cakewalk through there either. That's turned into its own gauntlet.
And yeah, both of the teams getting healthy late. Well, Fizz, we appreciate you joining us, and it was great speaking with you. And stay safe.
Hey, man, you guys stay safe. I love what you're doing,
Thank
right? And keep it going, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course,
Thank
anytime.
you. Really appreciate it.